stories glow. Palm lantern ignite, where the tales will flow. Whispers of the night, under moonlit skies. Every word so bright, in your mind it lies. Lantern light guides you through the night. Every tale in sight makes your heart ignite.
Robert drove with his dad to come see the new house the dad had completed in Delta State. Robert had just been admitted into the University of Delta. His father was from Benue State, and his mother was from Delta State. His father was a highly connected businessman and politician. His mother was a professor of physics at the University of Abuja. His father built the house for them in Delta State so they can live there while they went to school. Robert was surprised to see his dad pull up in front of their neighbor's house. Their neighbor was a lab technician in the Department of Engineering at the University of Delta. Clara, his daughter, was sweeping the front of their house when Robert's dad, Mr. Elijah, stopped to ask her about her dad. Clara was the first girl that Robert saw in the new neighborhood. He couldn't take his eyes off her. Her brown skin was like velvet. Her high cheekbones enhanced her facial features and made her beautiful. She had nice smiles that made her dimples noticeable. She was wearing a purple halter neck top on a white skirt. The halter neck was made in a way that her cleavage was slightly revealed. Clara genuflected to greet Mr. Elijah as he asked about her dad. She told him that he was inside and went inside to fetch him. Robert couldn't help but notice how well-rounded Clara's backside was. His eyes were trailing Clara when his father's voice jolted him out of his admiration for Clara. Mr. Elijah told Robert that Clara was Mr. Paul's first child out of 3 children. She was writing her school's leaving certificate exam and university entrance exam. Mr. Paul came out and exchanged pleasantries with Mr. Elijah and Robert. Clara went about her sweeping. 3 months later, Robert moved to the neighborhood and resumed his first year at the university. His father gifted him a Range Rover sport car to commute to school. He became the center of attraction for girls in the neighborhood. Every girl wanted to be his girlfriend. Even mothers wanted him to date their daughters. Despite being from a rich home, Robert was well-grounded. He was a gentle and principled guy. His parents were not always into money. Fortunes shone on them when Robert just started high school. His mother did a great job in making sure that he and his siblings were grounded. He enjoyed playing football after school hours. Young guys in the neighborhood were envious of him because their girlfriends wanted him. So, Robert kept to himself most of the time. Mr. Paul helped Mr. Elijah to oversee the building of the house and became a friend of the family. Mr. Paul was a jovial man. Although he wasn't rich, he was able to provide the basics for his family. His children were disciplined and always indoors. However, they had no access to pipe-borne water. On several occasions, Clara would accompany her younger brother, Kelvin, to fetch water from Mr. Elijah's house. Where only Robert was living, she was shy, and Robert could swear that there was chemistry between the two of them. On one particular day, Clara wore a bodycon white dress and accompanied her brother to get water from Mr. Elijah's house. Robert opened the gates for them. He couldn't take his eyes off her. Clara was shy under his gaze and wouldn't make eye contact with him. He said hello and went inside while they fetched water. Unknown to Clara, Robert was watching her through the window. Clara was breakdancing with her brother, and they were having fun. Robert loved the fun side of her and was drawn more to her. Clara gained admission to the same university as Robert. She was walking home after she finished her paperwork on campus when she saw Robert from a distance, taking an evening stroll. Robert saw her too and slowed down. He waited for Clara. He wanted to talk with her. Clara, seeing that Robert was waiting for her, took a different route. She had seen the way Robert stared at her. She wasn't ready for any relationship. She wanted to achieve her dreams of becoming a professor and building business empires. A relationship could lead to babies and unplanned babies, which could lead to cycles of poverty and hardship. Clara avoided guys as much as possible. She liked Robert. He never allowed his parents' money to get into his head. He was respectful, disciplined, and hardworking, but she wasn't ready to date him. If she kept avoiding him, he would leave her alone. Robert decided to wait for Clara in front of her parents' house after he noticed that she had taken another route. Clara was surprised to find him waiting for her. She smiled, knowing that she couldn't outsmart him. He was quite a persistent guy. He asked her if she was avoiding him, and Clara lied, saying that she had to meet someone. He asked her how she was doing and how she was preparing for university. Clara said she was trying her best. They both chatted, and Robert forgot about his stroll. Robert's younger sister, Iris, gained admission the same year as Clara. Iris came to join her brother. She and Clara became good friends, sharing books. When Clara came to return Iris' books, she met Robert. They exchanged smiles and casual greetings. Clara felt a bit more comfortable around Robert, especially with Iris around. She enjoyed Iris' company, which allowed her to be close to Robert, without feeling the pressure of a romantic relationship. As time went on, Clara and Iris spent more time together, often studying and sharing books. Robert saw this as an opportunity to spend more time with Clara. Their friendship grew, but he kept his feelings hidden, hoping Clara would see him as more than just a friend. Robert respected Clara's boundaries and never pushed her into anything more than friendship. He admired her intelligence, ambition, and clarity she had about her goals. He found himself even more drawn to her, not just for her beauty, but for her strength and determination. Clara's focus on her studies paid off, and she performed exceptionally well in her first semester. Robert was genuinely happy for her. He often helped her with assignments and projects. Their bond grew naturally, filled with mutual respect and understanding. One afternoon on campus, Robert saw Clara talking to another guy. They were laughing, and the guy seemed comfortable. A wave of jealousy washed over Robert. He waited until she was alone before approaching her. "Who was that guy?" he asked, his tone sharper than he intended. Clara looked at him, surprised. "He's just a course mate, Robert. We were discussing our assignment, and he looked like he was leaning for a kiss." Clara's expression shifted from confusion to irritation. "A kiss? Where did that come from, Robert? He's just a course mate, and by the way, he has a girlfriend. You have to be careful. Not every guy has good intentions." Clara crossed her arms over her chest. "Are you my father or my brother, Robert? I can talk to whoever I want." Robert's face tightened. "I just don't want you to get hurt. You never know people's real intentions." "Well, maybe I know how to take care of myself. You need to stop acting like you own me. We are friends, Robert, nothing more." The sting of her words hung in the air. Robert took a step back. "Is that all I am to you? Just a friend?" "Yes, Robert. You are my friend. I've always appreciated your friendship, and you know me more than anyone else. You know that I am not a loose lady. I am sorry, Clara. I allowed jealousy to get to me. I want us to be more than friends," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Clara sighed, her irritation melting into a softer tone. "Robert, I told you from the beginning. I want to focus on my studies and my dreams. I can't afford distractions. I value our friendship, but if it's going to be like this, maybe we need to take a step back. Hurt flashed across Robert's face. Okay, if that's what you want. He turned and walked away, leaving Clara standing alone. The next day, Clara showed up at Robert's house. Iris opened the door, and Clara asked to speak with Robert. He hesitated but eventually stepped outside. "Robert, I'm sorry," Clara began. "I didn't mean to say those words to you. I just need you to understand where I'm coming from." Robert nodded, his expression still guarded. "I get it. I overreacted. I've liked you for a long time, Clara. Maybe I was holding on to a hope that wasn't real." Clara looked at him with gentle eyes. "You are a wonderful person, Robert. I admire your discipline and your kindness. But I need to focus on my studies and my future. I don't want to lose your friendship." Robert exhaled slowly. "Okay, I don't want to lose you, even as a friend." They sat together in silence. Then Clara broke the silence. "Let's go grab ice cream." They both went out and forgot about their fight. One day, during a group study session at Robert's house, Clara felt a pang of something she hadn't allowed herself to feel before. A gentle flutter of emotions. She caught herself watching Robert as he explained a difficult concept to Iris. His patience, kindness, and gentle smile stirred something in her. She quickly buried the feeling, reminding herself of her dreams. Meanwhile, Robert continued to cherish their friendship. He didn't flirt or make advances. He simply showed up, offering help, sharing laughs, and being a supportive friend. He knew that Clara had set boundaries, and he respected them. His maturity and discipline only deepened Clara's admiration for him. One afternoon, while Clara was sitting under the mango tree in her front yard reading a book, Robert walked by. He leaned beside her, with his calm aura mesmerizing Clara. "What are you reading?" he asked. She showed him the book. It was a novel about achieving dreams and overcoming obstacles. "A great choice," he smiled. "You inspire me, you know. You've got such a strong sense of direction. I admire that." Clara felt her cheeks warm. "Thank you. I couldn't have done it without you." "Thank you," he replied. "You're showing everyone that discipline and ambition are powerful. I'm learning a lot from you." They shared a quiet moment. The sun was setting, casting an orange hue over everything. Clara felt a sense of calm around him. As months turned into years, Clara and Robert remained close. Clara stayed true to her academic goals, eventually becoming a top student in her department. Robert continued to thrive as well, balancing his studies with soccer and helping out in the neighborhood. Everyone thought they were dating. Robert kept close to Clara, ensuring that she had no time for other guys. He graduated as the best in the Department of Engineering, and Clara was there to support him. When Clara graduated as the best in her class, Robert came from his National Youth Service Corps to support her. He was in the crowd, cheering the loudest. He had never pressured her into a relationship, allowing her to grow and thrive at her own pace. As Clara walked off the stage, her certificate in hand, Robert approached her with a bouquet of flowers. They stood there, surrounded by friends and family. He had by his side a beautiful lady. When Clara saw the lady around Robert, she panicked. Did she drive him to another lady's arms because she refused to date him? Now that she had graduated, she was ready to date Robert. Robert was the only man in her life. He was always the center of her life, and she had no time for other guys. Robert saw how uneasy she was. "Clara, are you okay?" he asked with concern. "I am fine. I think that I might be having a slight headache," she said. I can walk you somewhere. Away from the crowd to catch your breath and prepare for the after party, he said. Thank you, Robert, she said. They both walked in silence. Then Clara broke the silence and said, I hope your girlfriend won't mind you walking with me. Robert almost choked on his saliva when he responded, Girlfriend? I do not have a girlfriend. What about the lady that was with you? She asked. Oh, you mean Deborah. She is just a fellow Corp member. This is her first time in Delta, he said. She heaved a sigh of relief. Robert watched her closely. Is that what the headache was all about? He teased her. No, she lied. Clara, you know that I know you too well. You can't lie to me. Robert pushed. Okay, you caught me. I was afraid that I might have pushed you into the arms of another woman. I wouldn't have forgiven myself. What are you saying, Clara? Robert asked, looking at her with love-filled eyes. That I love you. She finally said it. They both found a quiet spot to sit. Say it again. The words you said earlier, Robert said to Clara, holding her hands. I love you, Robert, she said. I love you, Clara. I have loved you since the first day I set my eyes on you. I'm so proud of the woman you have become, he said, his eyes filled with genuine happiness and love. Thank you, Robert. I couldn't have done it without your support, she replied. Robert leaned in and kissed Clara. He had waited for so long to do that. Clara had kept her lips and body for Robert. She was happy that he was the first man she had ever kissed. The chemistry was so strong that they couldn't deny it any longer. From that day onwards, they started their dating journey. They walked hand in hand to the after party. Robert wanted everyone to know that Clara was his woman. He unconsciously held her around her waist. Mr. Elijah, sitting beside Mr. Paul, tapped him to see their children. They both laughed. They keep deceiving themselves that they are friends, Mr. Elijah said. The men laughed. Mr. Elijah called Robert and Clara. Mr. Elijah teased them by asking, Robert, why are you holding Clara's waist? I thought you both were just friends. They both smiled, and Mr. Paul said, Robert, you better let us know your intentions for my daughter. Clara smiled and said, Daddy. They all laughed, and the party continued. Everyone went home. Robert followed Clara to her apartment off campus, and they spent the night together. They consummated their love that night. It was the first time for both of them. Robert confessed his love for Clara, telling her that the first day he moved from Abuja to Delta, she was the first woman that he had met. Ever since, he had fallen in love with her. He went further to tell her that he received a scholarship to study business management in Spain. Clara cried that night. She didn't know what it looked like to live by herself. The only time Robert was away from her was when he left for national service in Lagos. They both visited each other. Lagos was only a few hours away, but Spain was in another continent. She was going to miss him, but she wasn't one to stop progress. Robert consoled her, saying that nothing, not even distance, could stop him from loving her. After graduation, life took Robert and Clara in different directions. Robert was in Spain, while Clara was accepted into a prestigious physics program in Canada. Despite the distance, the bond they had nurtured over the years remained strong. They kept in touch constantly, sharing updates about their new lives through social media and occasional emails. Clara was thriving in her studies, diving into research that fascinated her. Robert was excelling in Spain, learning new languages and learning new business concepts. As technology advanced, they moved from messages to video calls, often staying up late to accommodate the time difference. Their conversations were filled with laughter, dreams, and the same quiet understanding they had shared back in Delta State. When Robert finished his studies, he worked as a sales engineer for a tech company in Spain. He also started a business consultancy registered in Nigeria. Clara began working as a professor at a university in Canada. Despite their demanding careers, they made it a priority to visit each other. The first time Clara flew to Spain, it was as if no time had passed. Robert hugged Clara and wouldn't let go. He missed her, her perfume, and her touch. They toured Spain and neighboring European countries. Clara cried at the airport when she was leaving. Robert promised to visit soon with tears in his house. During Robert's visits to Canada, on a snowy evening in front of the Christmas tree at Clara's apartment, he asked her to marry him. His proposal was simple and heartfelt. "I've loved you in every time zone. Will you build forever with me?" Clara said yes, her heart full. They got married in a small, intimate ceremony, with friends and family joining from Nigeria. Iris, who had also moved to Canada, stood by Clara's side as her maid of honor. Their fathers, Mr. Elijah and Mr. Paul, took turns to share stories of their children's journey and love. They decided to settle in Canada. Robert got another job in Canada, balancing his professional life with his role as a loving husband. A few years later, they welcomed their first child, a girl with Robert's gentle eyes and Clara's curiosity. Their second child, a boy, had his mother's dimples and his father's calm demeanor. They built a life filled with love, adventure, and family. Clara continued her work as a professor, inspiring young minds, while Robert's business flourished, enabling him to contribute to educational initiatives in Nigeria. In the evenings, when the kids were asleep, they would sit on the porch of their home in Toronto, reminiscing about the mango tree in Delta State, the first shy smiles, and the journey that brought them here.
Underneath the stars, worlds begin to